Before we begin, imagine this scene. A towering glass skyscraper shimmered under the bright afternoon sun. Hundreds of employees moved through the lobby, unaware that within the next 60 seconds, a life-or-death confrontation would unfold inside a small elevator. 3 determined men stepped in behind a powerful CEO. They thought their target was vulnerable. They thought no one would interfere. What they didn't know was that a quiet single father standing nearby had spent his entire life protecting the people he loved. And when danger appeared, he moved faster than anyone could imagine. If you believe kindness, courage, and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs inspiration, and subscribe to Soulful Stories for more emotional and heartwarming journeys. The city was alive with energy that afternoon. Traffic flowed through crowded streets, business meetings filled towering office buildings, and people rushed from one appointment to another. Among them was a man named Colter Hayes, a 38-year-old single father who had learned how quickly life could change. 5 years earlier, he had lost his wife during a sudden illness. Since then, every morning had begun before sunrise. He prepared breakfast, packed lunches, helped his daughter get ready for school, and worked long hours to keep their small apartment running. Life had not been easy. Bills seemed endless. Sleepless nights were common. Yet through every hardship, Colter never allowed bitterness to enter his heart. His daughter, 12-year-old Nora, was his entire world. Every sacrifice felt worthwhile whenever he saw her smile. Most people who met Colter assumed he was ordinary. They saw a maintenance contractor carrying tool bags and wearing simple work clothes. They never imagined that years earlier he had served in a specialized military security unit. He rarely spoke about those days. They belonged to a chapter of life he preferred to leave behind. His focus now was raising his daughter and creating a peaceful future. That afternoon, Colter had been called to repair a faulty electrical panel inside one of the city's most prestigious corporate towers. The building belonged to an influential technology company led by CEO Rowan Mercer. Rowan was respected throughout the industry for his intelligence and generosity. Unlike many executives, he frequently funded scholarships, community programs, and shelters for struggling families. As Colter completed his work on the 26th floor, he checked the time. He wanted to finish quickly so he could attend Nora's school presentation later that day. Gathering his equipment, he headed toward the elevators. The building was unusually busy. Employees moved through hallways carrying files and laptops. The atmosphere seemed normal, yet something felt slightly wrong. Colter couldn't explain it. Years of experience had sharpened instincts that never completely disappeared. As he approached the elevator bank, he noticed Rowan Mercer stepping out of a conference room. The CEO appeared tired but focused, reviewing documents on a tablet while walking toward a private elevator reserved for executive staff. Then Colter saw them. 3 men emerged from a nearby corridor. They wore business suits and carried themselves like professionals. To everyone else, they appeared ordinary. But Colter immediately noticed details others missed. Their eyes constantly scanned the surroundings. Their movements were coordinated. Their attention never left Rowan Mercer. A warning signal flashed through Colter's mind. The elevator doors opened. Rowan stepped inside. The 3 men followed. Something about their expressions convinced Colter that this was not a coincidence. Without hesitation, he moved forward and entered the elevator just before the doors closed. The confined space suddenly felt smaller. The elevator began ascending. For a few seconds, silence filled the air. Then everything changed. One of the men reached inside his jacket. Another moved toward Rowan. The third positioned himself near the control panel. The attack had begun. Before any employee outside could realize what was happening, Colter reacted. Years of training returned instantly. He grabbed the nearest attacker and drove him backward into the elevator wall. The impact stunned the man before he could fully respond. The second attacker lunged forward, but Colter intercepted him with precise speed. The narrow elevator became a whirlwind of motion. The attackers had expected an easy target. Instead, they encountered a father who had spent years surviving impossible circumstances. The first man recovered and attempted to join the fight, but Colter anticipated every movement. His actions were controlled, efficient, and focused solely on stopping the threat. Within moments, all three attackers found themselves overwhelmed. The elevator finally stopped on the 34th floor. The doors opened. Employees standing outside froze in shock. Three men lay incapacitated on the floor. A maintenance contractor stood between them and the stunned CEO. For several seconds, nobody moved. Security personnel rushed forward moments later. Police were called. The attackers were taken into custody. Investigators soon discovered disturbing evidence linking them to an organized criminal group that had targeted Rowan Mercer for financial extortion. News of the incident spread rapidly throughout the city. But while headlines celebrated the mysterious hero, Colter returned to his normal routine. That evening, he sat in a school auditorium watching Nora deliver her presentation. As she confidently spoke before her classmates, nothing else seemed important. The next morning, however, everything changed. Colter received a phone call. Rowan Mercer wanted to meet him. Reluctantly, Colter agreed. When he arrived at the executive offices, he expected a brief thank you and perhaps a handshake. Instead, Rowan personally greeted him. The CEO had spent the previous night learning about the men who had saved his life. He learned about the widowed father working multiple jobs. He learned about Nora. He learned about years of quiet sacrifice. And he learned that despite facing constant challenges, Colter had never asked anyone for help. For the first time in years, someone looked beyond the surface and recognized the weight Colter carried every day. Over the following weeks, Rowan and Colter developed an unexpected friendship. The CEO admired Colter's integrity. Colter respected Rowan's compassion. One afternoon, Rowan visited the neighborhood where Colter lived. He saw aging apartment buildings, crowded streets, and the modest home where a father and daughter had built their lives together. That visit changed him. Rowan realized that countless hardworking families faced similar struggles despite giving everything they had. Inspired by Colter's example, Rowan launched a new initiative through his company. The program provided financial assistance, educational opportunities, and career development for single parents throughout the city. Hundreds of families benefited within months. Then thousands. What began as one act of courage evolved into something far larger. Meanwhile, Nora noticed changes too. For years, she had watched her father carry every burden alone. Now she saw him smiling more often. She saw hope replacing exhaustion. She saw doors opening that had once seemed permanently closed. One evening, while walking home after dinner, father and daughter stopped at a small park overlooking the city skyline. The setting sun painted the buildings gold while a gentle breeze moved through the trees. Colter thought about everything that had happened. A random repair assignment. An elevator ride. A decision made in seconds. One moment had altered countless lives. Not because he was stronger than everyone else. Not because he wanted recognition. But because when the opportunity came to help someone, he chose courage instead of fear. Many people spend their lives waiting for heroes to appear. What they often fail to realize is that heroes rarely look extraordinary. Sometimes they wear expensive suits. Sometimes they wear uniforms. And sometimes they carry tool bags, work long hours, and rush home to attend their daughter's school presentation. The true measure of a person is not their title, wealth, or status. It is what they do when someone else needs them. As the months passed, Colter continued living with the same humility that had always defined him. He never sought attention for what happened inside that elevator. Yet his actions continued inspiring others. Teachers shared his story with students. Parents discussed it with their children. Workers remembered it during difficult days. And everywhere people heard the story, they were reminded that kindness and courage still exist in the world. If this story has touched your heart so far, please like the video, leave a comment, and share it with someone who believes ordinary people can make an extraordinary difference. Special request, comment below with the words, "Courage changes lives," if you believe one brave decision can transform someone's future. Years later, whenever Rowan Mercer spoke at community events, he often reflected on the afternoon that nearly changed everything. He would look at the audience and remember the quiet father who stepped into an elevator without hesitation. Because on that bright afternoon, 3 men followed a CEO into an elevator expecting fear and weakness. Instead, they encountered the unstoppable strength of a loving father. And in saving one life, that father unknowingly helped change thousands more. That is the power of courage. That is the power of kindness. And sometimes, that is the power of a single dad who refuses to stand by when someone needs help. The end.